r/AskReddit. What is the rudest thing a stranger has ever said to you? I was swimming at a public swimming pool when a little girl, couldn't have been older than about 8, comes out of nowhere and asks me, do you even know what a tan is? Did she follow it up with asking if you lift? Do you even tan? Fight me, I roll. Last Christmas I was working away in the retail store I work at and this lady rings up. Accuses me of selling her the wrong item and that I didn't explain it enough. The stuff I sell is easy to get your head around and it almost impossible to get the wrong thing. She then proceeds to call me a Christmas terrorist. That's my new insult come Christmas time when people act like entitled hitheads. Edit. Not saying you're one. By the way, it's just a strange insult. Was sitting on my stoop smoking a cigarette when an older woman saunters down my street. She stops and starts yelling at me and my dirty kind to stop moving into her neighborhood and driving all the white people out. Then she ended with go back to Mexico. I'm Chinese. Damn Chinese taking all the jobs I couldn't possibly qualify for. It's un-American. I was with a good-looking girlfriend at the beach and we were walking and walked by 2 kids and one of them said, he has to be her brother. I was so thrown off. You could have just heard her back you up. They would have shut up immediately if she told them. Nope. He's my boyfriend. Because he isn't an asshole like you. In that scenario I would have just bent my girl back and made out with her while obviously fondling her breast. Take that, kids. A little old lady on the sidewalk called me a Chinese bus pedophile as I walked by her. Still have no clue what that meant. Well, the basic interpretation is that you're a bus of Chinese manufacture which is sexually attracted to children. Whether these children are also Chinese or buses is unclear. Another would be that you are Chinese, of unspecified make, and are sexually attracted to juvenile buses. I think. Possibly you are a person of normal age. Who likes younger buses? Manufactured in China. As opposed to being sexually attracted to older buses. Which is accepted in society. Was shopping at Walmart. Had a ton of hit in it. Easily $125-150 worth of groceries. Guy walks into line behind me and has like 3 things. So I tell him he can get in front of me because he doesn't have much. Guy steps in front of me. Turns around and tells me, you know you won't get ahead in life like that. Turns around and checks out. If someone is nice to you, you say thank you. Not berate them for it. Should have rammed his ankles with your half-ton cart. Now we'll see who gets ahead in life. Bitch. As you push your cart over his lifeless body. Opened the front door to let in my brother's friend. Whom I had not met before. He looked at me. Said you are the ugliest thing I have ever seen. And walked past without saying another word. I was 13 and that sort of thing is devastating to a young girl who is already self-conscious. Please tell me your brother wasn't friends with that dick for long. Kids that age are so weird. When I was 14, some kid I didn't even know would point me out to his friends. Like, every day. To say I was the ugliest person ever. I certainly couldn't have been the ugliest person at the whole school. Plus, what a thing to say. In college I had this friend who was dating long distance a guy from the Bible Belt area. They were at the point where they were starting to meet each other's friends. I'm deaf. So we figured the easiest way to meet was by IAmA, the only instant messaging we had back then. Much to our surprise, once he found out I was deaf, he went on a rant about how that my parents must have sinned and that I should have been put to death at birth. And that all handicapped people were destined for hell because their parents sinned. I wish I had saved that rant. It was, what's the opposite of epic? Definitely an eye-opener. I had no idea there were people who genuinely felt like that. The friend continued to date him for another year. And because of that, we pretty much stopped being friends. Last I heard, she broke up with him a year or so after college because he broke her arm. And he committed suicide shortly after. He left a note blaming her for the suicide. I think he didn't expect the attempt to actually succeed. TL. Doctor friend's BF found out I was deaf. Told me I should have been put to death at birth. I guess no one told him that killing yourself makes you go straight to hell. That is messed up. I can't believe your friend kept dating him. I'm an atheist. I try to respect other people's faith. Sometimes I feel like they're pranking me. Something along the lines of I hope you and your family all die in eternal hellfire. Because I couldn't give a homeless man a cigarette. That was a bit overreacted in my opinion. Not to me. But I went into a greeting card shop just before last Christmas. And some guy pushed in front of another customer in the queue. And the checkout girl refused to serve him first. Saying this lady was before you. Cue the guy screaming and shouting at her, you ducking poisonous little cunt. I hope you get raped and murdered on Christmas Day and your family finds you. You ducking cunt, before storming out of the shop still shouting. That was pretty rude. My son was being bad at the playground, so I told him we were leaving. There was only one other boy playing while his mom was more interested in her smartphone than watching her son. As I was walking away with my son, she yelled, "You can't take him away. My son was playing with him, you asshole." If she paid attention, she would have realized her son wasn't interested in playing with my son and was by himself the whole time. Luckily for her, I'm not a chomo. It would have to be a nice gentleman who I asked if he needed any assistance with anything, to which he responded, "Just looking for iPad covers." I then said, "This is the stock we have here," pointed to the iPad section. In which he responded, "You're a ducking goose, mate," and looked at me like he was going to hit me as he walked out the store. So I responded, "Enjoy the rest of your day." 5 minutes later he walks past and throws his phone from outside the shop in an attempt to hit me with it. I think that takes the cake for me. In my retail experience, irrational rage is the first sign of a shoplifter. You probably interrupted his take. These people get very upset if you ask them anything, since they are already pretty high strung about what they are doing. The thing was, all our accessories are in glass cases. As I say, just a bad day for the poor kid who had to take it out on someone. A cyclist came up to me and said, "How does it feel to kill the earth with your car?" He had a bottle of Evian with him. Whenever I get told something like that, I say, "It's actually pretty awesome," like I'm some sort of sick duck. Die. Duck in queers. Yelled out the window of a car by one of a bunch of young looking guys. My girlfriend and I were just taking a walk holding hands. One birthday, 13, I went to dinner with my friends. There was a wait. So we walked down to the toy store. We are all looking around. The only customers in the store. The lady working there starts talking to us and we tell her it's my birthday. She then casually asks me if my mom pays the other girls to be my friends. I just looked at her, slack-jawed. She goes on to explain that she, or her friend, paid a girl to be her daughter's friend. Paid her way through college too. I wanted to cry. My birthday was ruined. That reminds me of the time my mom asked me why I hung out with the crowds of friends I did. Because I was so much better looking than them. Backhanded compliment? She was a jealous bitch. I hate people like that. Nice shoes. Faggot, my shoes were dope. Well, that sounds like a compliment. Maybe the offender was gay and testing the waters? Yay, maybe it was like nice shoes. Faggot. Was interviewed by a hematology pediatrician who focused on leukemia in children, etc. He said that there was once a girl who was terminally ill with cancer, and despite having tried his hardest to treat her, could do nothing about the impending fate. One day, the mother comes up to him and accuses him and the entire medical community of hiding the cure for cancer so that they could keep their jobs. For a doctor, that's one of the most rude and heartbreaking things to ever hear. On my flight rang the flight attendant call button. I asked him what he needed and he said, "Oh no, not you. I wanted the blonde, my co-worker, to assist me. I don't care for women who wear a lot of makeup, that's all, no offense." Thanks, buddy. Ducking mutant. I was walking down the hall in 10th grade. I have a congenital condition. My eyes are not symmetrical. It still brings me down when I think about it today. As someone with a genetic heart condition, the single hardest moment was when my brother's wife was pregnant and he told me that his child would not be a mutant like me. Almost 4 years later and it still bugs me. I think it's the nerd in me. But that would just have made my day. Goddamn normie. A little background first. My neighborhood is right by a retirement village, so it's common to see old people walking around. One day a friend of mine were walking to the shopping center to get some lunch, and there was this old lady walking really slow. Think of the kind in movies. We think nothing of it and keep walking. We finally get to the crosswalk and the hand is red. The old lady starts walking across and I run up and say, "You can't go now." No reply. "You can't go now, the hand is red." This time I get a response. This lady turns around and flips me off, then proceeds to almost get hit by 3 ducking cars. I was in shock. When you're that old, you will simply stop giving ducks. Or you're just a perfect bitch because you've spent 80 years perfecting the art. I'm Asian. A friend of a friend was over at my house and I asked him to repeat what he had just said. Instead, he said, "Let me clarify that for you. Ching chong bing bong. Asshole. Dut. Get the duck out of my house, you racist motherfucker." Well, ching chong, jikong, means leak in Chinese. So he might just have been talking about food. I was out with some girlfriends at a bar, sitting on the patio, drinking beers, having a good time. I'm a bigger girl with hot friends. This guy comes up to our table, pulls up a chair next to me, and puts his arm around me. He then says, "You must be the fat friend I have to be nice to get one of these gorgeous ladies to go home with me." I just laughed and said, "Yeah, I guess so. Looks like you just blew it." My friends all laughed right in his face. All he could say as he walked away was, "Ouch. That's harsh." A few years ago, about 2006, I was back home from my first year at college. I was walking around my town. A buddy of mine called me and we started talking, and out of nowhere an elderly lady yells at me, "You're gonna go to hell for that, you know?" Dumbfounded, I yelled back, "See you there," and continued on my conversation. Not that it matters. But what were you saying to elicit such a response from her? They were planning to sacrifice a lamb to Satan. One of my classmates told me, "Go ducking, kill yourself, bitch," in a serious tone after I did well on a presentation. I never spoke to him in my life. Nice legs. Shame about your face, from a rat-faced bollock of a jit in a pub. He wasn't much to look at himself. This is the most British thing I've ever read. I love it. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe to RedditQueen for the best daily content.